on another live, and I got 4 conversations of discussion. 4 conversations for discussion, or 4 topics, for lack of a better word. And we are going to absolutely kill this one, man. We are going to kill this one. 4 things to talk about and discuss today. And I might even have a special guest who popped in here, and we're going to just run this and kill it. So, Jarcy, I'm going to be shooting you a thing to chat, man. But I want to talk about 4 things real quick, and then we can do it. So, listen, lads, listen. Here's the deal, bro. So, I've been posting a couple other videos. Some people have been asking me questions. I'm gonna highlight this stuff. Okay, so I hope people will understand and, listen. If you don't want to listen, then that's cool. It doesn't matter if you listen to me or not. I'm just doing this to help educate people. So, 4 key things I want to talk about today. Okay, 1 is the last 2 videos I've posted, the difference between exposure and being exposed. That's the first thing. The second thing is tryouts. The third thing is a new project, I guess you could say, that I'm trying to build, which is called a playbook, which I'll explain shortly. And then the final one is about how parents pay to see their child win. Okay? So we'll make that happen, okay? And like I said, the only thing I'm trying to do, man, is I'm just trying to tell the truth. I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to give you my perspective as a guy that's been through the entire system from top to bottom. And I'm just trying to help share a message and educate. That's it. That's all I'm trying to do. So I want to start off with the first thing, with the difference between exposure and being exposed, because this is crucial. So if you want to know what the difference is, type in the comment below, type me. Okay. And I'm going to explain this stuff because everybody's like, oh, I want to go to, college. I want to be a pro. I need to play in these events to get exposure. And I don't think you guys quite understand how it actually works. So the first thing is, just to be completely honest with you, the system is designed for you to fail. It is designed for you to fail. That's why it's completely set up like this. It's all driven by cash. That's why it's called a cash cow. They want to take your money. They want you to pay a bunch of money. Like, if you really think about it, let's say you got a kid and he starts at 6 because they come to you and say, hey, we want to have your son, right? So you're in there from 6 to 18 years old in youth soccer. Let's just say on average you spend, and I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about tournaments. I'm talking about the travel. I'm talking about the hotels, the food, I mean, all in, you're going to be spending a minimum of $50,000 minimum and upwards of $200,000, I would say, for your child to play soccer. Okay. Now, we have pay to play, fine, but at least 5 was the because this is really important, because everybody's like, oh, I need to play in ECNL and MLS Next and all these leagues that promote exposure. Like, that's one of the biggest buzzwords in youth soccer. Exposure. Oh, you got to have exposure. You need to go to this event for the exposure. I need to go to this for exposure. I need to go to these college ID camps for exposure. Oh, God, it's just a marketing buzzword. They love you guys when you get all hyped up about exposure. Okay, so here's the truth, right? How do I make this very simple so it's not complicated and you guys get this? Okay, so there is a difference between exposure, going to an event where there's exposure, and being exposed. I made 2 videos to highlight this. I posted one yesterday and one today. The one with exposure, here's the deal. Exposure means you're at an event where people at the next level, college coaches or professional scout, are watching. Okay, that's what exposure is. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, let's define what exposed is. Okay, so now that you know what exposure is, being exposed means they're actually watching you. Did you listen to what I just said? Being exposed means they're actually watching you. I want to make sure you understand the difference. Exposure means you're at an event where there are people, next level people watching and whatnot. Then exposed means you're being watched. And there is a complete difference. And I'll give you a personal example, okay? So before MLS Next was MLS Next. It used to be called the DA. Some of you guys know that, okay? I played in the DA when it first came out. I was at DC United. I left to go to another one called McLean. Anyways, which was in Northern Virginia. So here's the deal, okay? When I did that, I went to 2 DA showcases, okay? And at the DA showcase, I mean, there's easily 300 to 500 Division I or college coaches. Division I, there's like 300 schools or something, and then there's Division II and all top programs. And that doesn't mean, so I was at an event with exposure, okay? I was at an event with exposure. However, that does not mean anybody is watching me. And at one game, I remember my parents were super excited because my mom went on the trip. And she was like, oh my God, there's so many coaches here. And, you know, we're all excited because you're being taught, hey, oh my God, you're going to get seen. You're going to be exposed at an event that has exposure. And what you don't realize is, so if you've never done any recruiting, like college recruiting, like talking with the coaches, building that relationship, building the contact and whatnot. So contacting with the schools, as the example using college. 1, they don't know who you are. 2, they don't know anything about you. 3, they look at 10,000 plus kids a year for 3 or 4 roster spots. So do you really think they're watching you? No. This is what you don't understand, okay? I'm going to be very clear. Let's say you go to an event and there's 50 coaches watching a game. Tell me in the comments how many of you think they're watching you, or the chance of them watching you is. Tell me, I want to know. I want to know what you guys think. How many of them do you think are watching you? Tell me down below. How many of you think that just because you're at an event, you've never talked to any of them, and there's 50 of those guys, college coaches, D1, D2, D3, D4. When I say D4, I mean NAIA. I don't mean D4. How many of them do you think are watching you? So here's the secret, okay? When a college coach is watching a game, they're there because they're already looking at somebody. Does it make sense? They're already there looking at somebody else. So if you've never contacted them before, they will already be there watching somebody else. So they've been in contact with somebody else, or there's somebody that they're paying attention to and watching. I hope that makes sense. That doesn't mean they're watching you. Now, here's where you might get lucky. And I had Francesco on, who's going NCAA D1 this year, and we explained his situation. He did a game where he played against a university called Stetson, which is D1. And in that game, there was a guy recruiting, and he was recruiting a goalkeeper. So he went over there looking for a goalie. Didn't find one, by the way, but that's a separate conversation. And how do I explain this to you? So Francesco did so well. He did so well that the coach that was looking for a goalkeeper saw him and said, who is this kid? Where does he play? What's his story? He's a standout on the field. He's a standout. That means he's arguably the best player on the field, and he got the attention. So the recruiter came in looking for a goalkeeper, saw Francesco play, and was like, holy shit, who is this kid? Where does he play? What's his story? He's too good. What's the deal? That's when you're going to get attention, because you stand out. Like, you guys need to make sure you understand that. If you don't stand out and you've done zero, like, networking previously, then you got to be damn good to get exposed. Because using that situation, okay, there was exposure because there was a college recruiter there, as an example, and he was looking for a specific position. So he was looking for a goalkeeper, a number 1, and he saw another player that was standing out. Okay, does that make sense? I hope you guys get it, because it's so important that you guys get that concept, the difference between exposure and being exposed. Really important you understand. Okay, and then just a reminder, 2 things. 1, I have all my lives that I do like this, I post in my subscription area. You're free to, go check them out there. I have every single one there. So if you ever want to come back and look at them, they're sitting there. And, I'm just dropping the content for you guys right there, okay? I apologize for my language. Sometimes I curse. I need to do better at that. So I try to watch my mouth, but I'm just trying to highlight a point, but I need to do better. You're right. Okay, so now I want to talk about, and if you have questions, I'll get to them at the end. So make sure you throw them down in questions and whatnot, and I can do it. So let's make it happen. And let's see, next one, tryouts. Okay, I want to talk about tryouts. It's actually hysterical. Somebody sent me a picture today of an organization. I'm not going to say the name or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you the truth, okay? That said, hey, you've been accepted into our team. You have 4 hours to accept or you lose your spot. And by the way, you need to pay the deposit. Dude, are you kidding me? 4 hours? I mean, I thought 24 or 48 hours was a record. But Jesus, 4 hours? I hope none of you guys are buying that, dude. Like, please. Please don't buy that crap. Like, please don't do that. Don't make the mistake and buy the whole tryout thing. You have 4 hours or you have 24 hours, you have 48 hours, and don't do that, man. Take your time, make a decision, evaluate, because you guys don't want to pull your money out. So at least evaluate and really critically think. Like, don't have the FOMO or the pressure. Oh my God, I got to sign or I'm going to lose my spot, bro. You're not losing your spot. Like, if you don't get accepted, they're going to just find another kid. Very rarely does it happen where they pull a kid up from a second team. It doesn't happen very often because usually the kid's not good enough to be put on the first team. So especially if it's a better player, yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. I've never heard of that before. When she sent me that, I'm like, you're joking. Somebody sent you an email and said you have 4 hours? What if you didn't even see the email? But anyways, they're just trying to scare you to want to sign because they're going to say, well, you're going to lose your spot if you don't do it. That's a lie. You're not going to lose your spot. 9 times out of 10, if you decide not to book it, like in terms of pay for it, you can come back in 3 months or 6 months or a year, and you're still going to be on the team if you're good enough. I mean, that's the key. So, that's what you need to understand. Okay, so I hope you guys, please don't panic when it comes to tryouts. Like, don't rush. Don't freak out because they said, oh my God, you have 48 hours or 4 hours or 24 or whatever. Dude, relax. You're going to be okay. Take 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. Relax and take your time. Don't rush. Make a smart decision based on what you want for your child. If you want development, get a coach that focuses on development. If you want to just win, get a coach that just wins. Everybody's got to pick their poison at the end of the day, and you got to make that decision, okay? So third thing I want to talk about now is the playbook. So I've had 3 or 4 people ask me this, and they're like, hey, can you help us navigate youth soccer? So I'm putting this together. Actually, probably I'm going to make it be like $1. Like you're going to buy it for $1. And that's just to cover the cost of what I had to put into it. So I'm spending probably 15 to 20 hours. I'm going to put together a playbook that you can get for $1. And I'm trying to build it like as what I would do if I had a child going through the system. I don't have kids. I will have a kid at some point. But point being is I'm trying to build it as if I were to have a child go through the system, these are the things that I would do. And I'm building it like that. Hey, this is the plan that I'm going to follow. Now, obviously, things might change a little bit, right, as times change. But based on what I know right now, this is what I would do. So that way, if you have a kid that's in the system and you want to give them the best chance because they're saying, hey, Mom and Dad, I want to be a Division I college player at Kentucky, or I want to go be a pro for Real Madrid. At least you can put them on a path to try and find success, using the model that I would do. So again, if I had a kid in the system going through this, I'm going to give you every single step that I would take to get there. So if you want to see a playbook, shoot me a DM, or not a, you can shoot me a DM too if you want. But, type in the comment, say me, or say playbook. Better yet, say playbook. If you want the playbook, type playbook. Okay, so it's probably going to take me 15 to 20 hours to finish. I'm probably like a third done. I'm trying to make it as, kind of in-depth as possible to give you guys as much information and cover as much as possible, including videos and stuff. So it's going to take me a little bit of time, but I'm putting it together. And like I said, I'm going to make it like $1, because I'm like, you know what? It's better just to educate people. Like I'm gonna spend the time, the energy, the resource to put it together. and you just got to cover the cost of me putting it together, which is $1. So I can host it on a thing, and you can have a way to get it. So, at the end of the day, I'm trying to help, man. Like, I'm trying to help you guys. I've had like 3 or 4 people ask me about this. They're like, hey, do you have a way to, navigate this? There's so many leagues. There's so many things going on. Like, what can I do? How do I do this? And that's what I'm going to help you with. So just to make sure you got that, because it's hard. Because here's the thing. If your kid is not a 1%, so your child is not a 1% player. Now, what does that mean? A 1% player means every single organization is coming to you saying, hey, we want your child for free. So they're paying for your child. So they're saying, hey, we'll cover your uniform, we'll cover your training costs, we'll cover your everything. And again, this is let's just say 1%. This is 1% of kids. 1% of kids are this good, and they're getting sponsored by the cash cows. Okay? So that's why I'm making this playbook. Because if you're not a 1%, and that's literally 99% of everybody else, so everybody else is not a 1%, you need to know how to navigate this and build your player to be a 1% in the future. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing you don't realize, again, about the whole exposed versus exposure. If you are not a standout player, you're not getting picked. Very important that you understand that. So you guys need to grasp that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So, and then somebody asked, and I'll answer this question very quickly. So, at what age does 1% happen? It's at any age. If a kid is that good, I've seen it at U7. I've seen it up to U19. It just depends on how good the kid is. And trust me, as parents, you're not going to know if somebody else's kid is a 1%. They're not going to tell you that. Like, let's say I have a kid and my son is picked as a 1%. I'm not going to go around marketing, hey, my kid's a 1%. Because then what do you think everybody else is going to do? Well, I want to be a 1%. So club, help me out. But they're not going to do that, because then if you do that, then the club is going to say, well, I'm taking away your scholarship. So keep that in the back of your mind. All right, last thing I want to throw out here real quick. And this is really important. This is something I've really learned over the last 2 years. And it's hard, but it is the truth. It sucks, but I got to tell you the truth. Again, 98% of parents pay to see their child win, not to see their child lose. I'm going to say that again. 98% of parents pay to see their child win, not to see their child lose. So what does that mean? You got to understand why, teams and clubs, they put their teams in low brackets, right? Because the average parent that doesn't know anything about sports and what it takes to get to the next level, they just want to win. So clubs know this. They go put them in lower brackets because they don't want to deal with the headache of trying to win against good competition. It sucks. I do it all the time. I try and push teams, the teams that we have, to play at their top level consistently. And we don't win a lot. To be honest with you, some of our teams don't win a lot. And I get parents that get very upset because their children are not winning. And some games are getting smacked and whatnot. And I'm like, look, at the end of the day, if your kid's going to be an elite player in the future, then, they're going to have to deal with losing. And a lot of times they lose because they're not giving 100% effort. So if you give anything less than 100% effort, you should lose anyways. Right? I mean, agree or disagree? I mean, you tell me in the comments if you agree. If your team, the team in total, everybody in the team does not give 100%, you should not win. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of levels that you can play at, if you're playing Division 3 as an example, you can be at 10% and win because you're playing against cones. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just trying to explain. So it's crazy because people don't get it. And I'm like, you should always want to challenge your child to be at their top level where they have to give maximum effort. And if they're not giving maximum effort, that is a problem. So, when I'm seeing this, I'm going, well, people just want to win. They don't actually care if their kid has to be challenged or not. It's just so frustrating, man. That's why I said the thing, again, I'm not a parent, so I don't know how that directly works. But, again, using the playbook that I'm going to put out, you're going to see all the stuff that I'm going to say, and you're going to be like, that makes a lot of sense. Kyle has an idea of what he's talking about. Because, again, I'm looking at it from, hey, listen, I want to take a kid from, here, level 1. And level 10 is to become a professional. I want to get to level 10. So there's all these steps that you got to pass to get to level 10. And by the way, let's look at it this way. Sometimes you're going to go to level 3, then you're going to go down to level 2, then you're going to go to level 5, then you're going to go to level 2 or 3, then you're going to go to level 7, then you're going to go to 5, then you're going to go down to 4, then you go up to 8, then you go down to 4, then you go up to 9, then you go down to 5, and then you go to 10, and you go down to 1, then you go to 6, and then you go to 10, and then you drop. It's just, that's what development is. You go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, just like this. So it's a lot of work, man. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of development. It's hard. And it's frustrating. I got to tell you the truth. It's very, very frustrating as a coach that loves to challenge players because parents don't want their kid to be challenged. They just want to win. So, all right, those are my 4 main topics that I wanted to discuss. So I'm going to try and answer some questions, man. So if you want to start throwing some questions at me, I see some in the comments. I'm going to try and get to them. I'm going to miss a lot because I've missed a bunch. Again, if you want that playbook, type playbook, bro. I'm working on it. It's going to take me, hopefully I can get it done by the weekend. But I'm spending 15 to 20 hours putting it together for you. I got to make it look decent. I got to put in a bunch of effort to really pick my own brain and think about the stuff that you need to have and whatnot. So just keep it that way. All right, so first question I have here. Should parents reach out to colleges or have the student or have the athlete or student reach out? That is a fantastic question. So let me throw it to you this way, guys, okay? Because it's a good question. So college recruiting, who should be doing the conversation? Well, I think that's a pretty given answer or a simple answer. And that answer is the player. If you want your child to be a college athlete and the child wants to be a college athlete, then they need to be having the conversation, not you. Okay? Very important. Very, 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 very important you understand that because you don't want that to get lost in translation. If a parent is reaching out to a college coach, I promise you, your child will never make it to college. Will never make it to college. You guys got to understand, whose dream is this? Your dream as the parent or your dream or the player's dream? So you guys need to understand that kind of stuff because it's really important. Don't make that mistake. You can help guide them. That's one thing. But you can't reach out to the coaches, bro. You're going to get your kid cut so fast. And I'm glad that question was asked because I will say this. Interestingly enough, how do I explain this to you? Youth soccer, honestly, does a terrible, terrible, terrible job of preparing players for the next level. College or pro, by the way. And you know what? I'm actually going to give you guys a story. I think you're going to find this hysterical, okay? Check this out. Let me ask you guys a question. If you have your kid sitting next to you, okay, I want you guys to understand this. So I went to Europe a couple of times when I was a kid, whatnot, with my dad and whatever, okay? I went back to France as an adult, by the way, after I graduated college. And some of you guys have heard this story. If you haven't, I'm going to tell you right now again, okay? Or first time hearing it, you're going to hear it. Here's the deal. I went over as a 22-year-old. Okay? I'm not going to give you all the stuff because it's kind of long, but I'm going to give you some quick highlights about it. So I was playing. My sound is gone. Why is my sound gone? No. Mics. How about now? Can you hear me? 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 Okay. So check this out, right? So here's the story. So I went back to Europe. I was playing Division 4, which is semi-pro in France. And my first week there, I lived in a middle school dorm for 2 weeks. Then after that, you will never believe this. It's going to be crazy. You're going to be like, there's no way this is true. It's 100% true. I have pictures I can show you. I lived for a week in the club's training ground storage closet. For 1 week, slept on the floor of the club storage of the club's training ground storage, like a closet, for a week. At 22 years old. After that, After that, okay, they moved me and another guy into a house. At 22 years old, I'm gonna keep filling you in, and then I'm gonna explain in detail, okay? In a house. This is what was in the house. You guys ready for this? You know, I talk about privilege all the time, right? So I never had to sleep on the floor at a training ground my entire life. I always had my bed. I always had my mom. I always had my dad. I always had everything, right? So check this out. They moved us into a house, me and another guy, okay? First off, no TV, no Wi-Fi. Make sure you understand that. No TV, no Wi-Fi, okay? There was a table, a futon, which is a sofa that turns into a bed, one of them, one table, 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 knives, 2 spoons, and that was it. That was it in the entire house. Nothing else. That was it. Literally, that was it. So I had to walk 45 minutes to go get Wi-Fi. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what's going on here? Because like when you think about here, okay, we have every luxury in the world, by the way. And I was right outside Saint-Étienne in southern France. And I had to walk 45 minutes just to get Wi-Fi to talk to friends and family. Huh. How many of you, if your kids are listening to this, how many of you think your child could handle that? Bro, I was 22 years old and I was shocked. I'm like, dude, I got to walk 45 minutes to get Wi-Fi? And at the time, I was like, dude, this is terrible. It's awful. But like looking back on that, I was like, dude, this is one of the best experiences of my life. Because it really taught me that life is not all cupcakes and roses, which our kids have, by the way, these days. So like, if kids want to be a professional, they still need to be able to handle that type of stuff. Like, I don't think people get that. And dude, I'm 22 years old. And I'm like, what? I have no Wi-Fi? I've always had Wi-Fi. What do you mean I don't have Wi-Fi? And I lived like that for 4 months. Ended up getting hurt. I was like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. I came back. Like, it's just, dude, it's mind-boggling to me. Like, our kids are so coddled. They're so privileged. That's not a bad thing, by the way. But, like, I was getting into an argument with a guy on Instagram. And he said, well, privilege isn't the problem. It's passion. I'm like, yeah, okay, passion is the problem, sure. But, like, how many of our kids could handle that? Literally, I mean, think about it, right? Think about this. Your son, it doesn't even matter, they're 15 years old. Can he go live by himself in a place with a bed? Or not? It wasn't even a dude, it was a futon. It was a crap futon. 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 knives, 2 spoons, and a futon. Nothing else. Do you think your kid could live like that? Bro, there's not even many adults in this country that could live like that. And then people say, well, I don't understand why our kids can't make it. They don't have the ability to overcome challenges and adversity. Like, dude, that was one of the hardest times of my life because I just didn't have basic, quote unquote, needs. Well, they're not needs, it's actually a want. I don't need to have Wi-Fi. I don't need to have a TV. It's like, dude, what? But you need to have food. You need to have a place to sleep. You need to have whatever. So, like, people don't get it. Like, you just don't understand, like, the sacrifices you have to make. If you're not a top-level player, like, and what I mean by top-level players, you're not playing in the Premier League or League Championship where you're making a bunch of money off the jump. Dude, it's a grind. It's a grind. Complete and utter grind. It's miserable at the time because you're not used to it. So, again, this is going to be in the playbook that I'm creating. So if you want to see the playbook, type playbook in the comments. And, I'm going to be explaining a lot of this stuff in the playbook. Like, if your kid has the dream of getting to the next level, you need to be like, bro, you're getting pushed. You're getting pushed. You're getting pushed. You're getting pushed. Okay, so back to questions. I went on another rant. I'm sorry. Okay, my son has an opportunity to play up with U14 third team. He's U13 second team next year. Do you think he should leave him on the U13 second team? I mean, that's such an open-ended question. If you're telling me your son's on the U13 second team, that's telling me he's probably not good enough. That's okay. You need to develop him. So I have my 15 mandatory skills that I worked on with Esau that again, somebody that I developed over 4 years. And I'm like, they need to have these skills. So if he doesn't have those skills, that's the first thing that I would do immediately is get those skills. It doesn't matter what team you're on. Because if you don't have the skills, you don't have the level. Just point blank. So that's what I would do. If I was in your shoes, I wouldn't even worry about what team he's on. If he's on a second team, he's probably not that good. I'm just telling you the truth. You may not like what I say. That's okay. But that's what I would do. I would focus on his or her development. And I'm not telling you it's not okay to be on the second or third team. What I'm telling you is if the goal is, hey, we're trying to get to the next step of the next level, you need to be improving. Long story short, so don't misconstrue my message saying, oh, he said he can't be on the second team. Didn't say that. What I'm saying is if the goal is to become a professional or Division I athlete or whatever, they need to be improved. And if you're on a second team, they're probably not that good. That's okay. And Scott's point, there's a lot of guys on first teams that are not that good. But, if you're on the second team, they're probably not as good already, if that makes sense. So, again, I don't know your situation. If you want to DM me, I can try and look at it a little bit deeper, but, that's kind of it. Okay, next question I got here. Dun, 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 dun. Do you feel one-on-one coaching training is beneficial for a 7-year-old who has a drive to improve and develop? It doesn't have to be one-on-one coaching. No, in fact, if you can get a group, it's better. Because, as an example, what I would do for your son is if I was training him, would be a lot of foot skills and whatnot. Juggling, dribbling, touch, whatever. But I would also do a hell of a lot of 1v1s. So you can't do 1v1s if you don't have more than one player. So that's why I say that. My son's coach said he's too small to play football in U11 A team, but he's a U10, plays on U11 second team. Well, see, in a situation like that, where somebody says your child's too small, more than likely that's a load of crap, and they just want big and fast players. But I don't know all these situations. I can just tell you based on what I'm hearing. Let's see. What age should a player contact colleges? So, good question. The college recruiting process starts the moment you walk through the door of high school. And here's the truth, right? So, I played at a school, it was Division II. I had D1 offers, but I went D2 to guarantee my playing time. I mean, it wasn't a guarantee. I had to earn it still, but I was told, hey, I'm going to have a better chance of playing by doing that. And that's what I did. So, anyways, my coach had a whiteboard, okay? On this whiteboard, he had his top recruits for every single recruiting class 4 years in advance. So I was there from 2011 to 2015. Here's the example. He had 2012, his top 4. He had 2013, his top whatever, 4. His 2014, top 4. And then 2015, top 4. That's what he had. So if you don't, it starts the second you get into high school. And if you're not working on recruiting the second you get to high school, you're already behind. So good question, though, because I have a college recruiting course you can get in my bio link completely free. It's like 45 minutes where you'll learn a lot of stuff. And then I have a book and a paid course you can get that will change your life because that will literally teach you everything you need to do from the day you walk into high school to the day you graduate, what you need to do to become a college athlete. So keep that in mind. Next question is, how important is highlight tapes to recruitment? You need to have a highlight tape. And 3 minutes is probably a good maximum. If you don't have a highlight tape, that's a problem. Because, again, they can do a Google search. They can look up your son or daughter's name and say, okay, let's search Kyle Wilson. What pops up? Nothing. Okay, well, nobody's ever heard of this kid. Let's try Kyle Wilson soccer. Okay, we got one click. What is it? Okay, Instagram, click. Right? They can do a Google search or a Bing search, whatever you want to call it these days, and get information. We left a club we loved for a higher team because Kyle said teams don't move, players do. It was hard. Can you expand on that? Like what we left a club we loved for a higher team because Kyle said teams don't move. What do you mean Kyle said teams don't move? I mean, I don't necessarily know what you mean, but yeah, good question or good point, I guess. What clubs don't have TIP, talent identification program, a department composed with qualified scouts, talent assessors? I mean, yeah, they don't. They certainly don't. Most clubs don't. Let's see what else. Market yourself. Cool. All right. Let's see. He's not that good. He's getting one-on-one training. Yeah, I mean, exactly. So I wouldn't even worry about anything else. And the question you'd have to ask yourself is, what's the goal? I mean, what does he want to do? Does he want to be a professional or not? So Yeah, I did say that. Players level up. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a player that moves on from a team. It's really that simple. So you need to do that. If you're not doing it, it's a problem. And love what you're teaching. I coach a U10 boys team. 4 of my boys left because the parents wanted to pay that big money. Listen, actually, interestingly enough, I had a group, and I don't know if he's still on this call, but he was one of the kids that I had. We started at U10, U10, and we had 11 guys. After the first season, this is actually the year going into COVID. I lost the entire team except 3 kids because, no joke, the exact comment was, well, we love the training, our kids are getting better, but we don't win enough. And I'm like, well, you just want to win or what? And I didn't have a goalie either, by the way, so it was just very funny and frustrating, but that's the business, man. Welcome to America, where parents don't know enough and they just want to win, and then at the end of the day, they're going to be screwed because their kids aren't good enough. Okay, so somebody asked a question. How important the high school team success? Oh, God, high school. Jesus Christ, high school. Oh, my God. High school. Okay, I'll quickly answer this. High school. I'm going to try and give you the short answer. It might turn into a long answer. Short answer. High school's a joke for 98% of the country. It's a waste of your time. Don't do it. Because, quoting a friend of mine that is a Division I, or I should say former Division I college coach for 15 years, as a head coach as well, if your child plays high school and they want to go D1, they are not serious. So if you tell a college Division I coach that you play high school, the chances of your kid making that school go down to probably 0.01%. And it was probably before 0.03%. So, just keep that in the back of your mind. Kyle, not really a question, but explain to the parents why they should attend their child's game and be quiet. Actually, this is going to be one of my future videos coming out. Listen, good point, Scott. Here's the thing. Let me throw it to you this way. It's actually a good point. Okay, I talked to a guy, buddy of mine, actually Issa's uncle. Super successful. Dude has been offered multiple jobs in the NFL, different professional leagues. Anyways, long story short, me and him were talking because he works with high-level athletes and stuff, and I do the same thing. I work with pros too. And I asked him, like, dude, why don't you spend time around parents? I'm like, every time I see you, you're sitting in the car and you're doing. He's like, dude, I don't want to be around parents. And I'm like, why not? He's like, dude, all they do is they complain. They're toxic. They just speak negative the entire time. They have nothing positive to say. And it's like, it easily becomes cancerous. Don't be a toxic parent, man. You put your kid into a club, and I need to say it this way, no organization is perfect. 0 organizations are perfect. My organization is not perfect at all. Not even close. It never will be perfect, I don't think. But at least I try to do the right thing. But don't be a toxic parent, bro, where you sit there and I'm not going to swear, but you complain and you argue and you just create all this toxicity amongst the parents. And then you also translate that to your kid, by the way. Because what happens is you start speaking bad to other kids, or not to other kids, but about other kids. Don't do that. Dude, you put your kid in this program. It might be a problem, but just keep your mouth shut. If you want to go be pissy about it and be toxic to yourself and your wife or your husband. Don't be going around to other people spreading toxicity things and trying to create drama, because that just makes everybody's life worse. Your life worse, your child's life worse, your coach's life worse. And dude, coaches, to be honest with you, it's a terrible job. Terrible job. Coaching sucks, to be honest. Parents make it very, very hard. And all the time, to be honest with you, I question what I do every single day, because I'm like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, I have to deal with parents that don't know what they're talking about, that just complain. They're toxic. They do a bunch of stuff. It's not all of them, by the way, but there's 98% of them, man. And it's like, you just be quiet, please. You know, we're all like, at least I'm trying to do the right thing. Like, just be supportive. You know, we're not perfect. You want to give some feedback, cool, give some feedback, but don't be spreading stuff and trying to be a cancer, and like, just don't do that. It's just a bad look on you to begin with, because like, I don't go around to other organizations saying, hey, by the way, don't take this parent because they're toxic. We don't do that. Like, very rarely does that happen where clubs will go to each other Or coaches will go to other coaches, hey, don't take this kid because his parent's toxic. That's essentially the opposite of what we're saying. So just keep that in mind. How do you assess and identify areas of improvement in a player's game, and how do you work with them to address those weaknesses? Well, Michael, I would tell you, can they pass the 15 mandatory skills? If not, then you already know what they need to work on. If they've passed that, then it's refinement of all those things and then working on decision-making. And then the individual tactical side as well, which is a whole nother ballgame. So that's the 5-second answer. What age would you give parents a green light to begin spending more money to develop their kid? My son just turned 7, is showing a lot of drive and basic skill. Man, how do I even answer your question? I guess it's all relative, right? How much money can you spend? How much money do you want to spend? I don't recommend you throw millions or thousands of, millions is the wrong word, but thousands of dollars at it. Find somebody that wants to train and do the right thing. Get a group of people that want to do that, and then just build it, bro. And then, that's all you need to do. Doesn't have to be tons of money that you're just throwing at stuff. Okay. Training itself is not enough. Players need to study the game and not just learn it. Very few U.S. players study. Yeah, that's true. How do I improve my son's work rate, or specifically defensive work rate? He plays forward in the open. How do you improve your son's work rate on defense? When you figure that answer, let me know. The only thing I think you can do is take his playtime away. Hey, kid, you don't want to work hard on defense? Get off the field. And as the parent, you're going to be like, okay, flip that. Hey, you don't want to work hard? I'm not going to bring you to the game. You don't want to go play defense? Because I made a video. The only thing that the player needs to give and control is effort. Like, I can't stand when kids don't go back on defense. I don't care if you're the forward. Go play defense. Erling Haaland plays defense. He's probably the best number 9 in the world right now. So, yeah, play defense. Some MLS players play high school. Now you're going to ask me how an MLS player is going to play high school? If they do play high school, fine. I don't care, but I don't recommend high school. That's the only thing I can tell you. When you played, there was only one league. Now we have East MLS, ECNL, MLS. You never know who is really the best club area around. ECNL teams don't play MLS teams. Yeah, everybody. The truth is, everybody doesn't want to play each other because they don't want to lose kids. Like, long story short, that's why all these leagues are forming, because then you can go travel and play other teams. Like, I made the video about the 3-hour trip. Like, in Florida, bro, you got to drive 3 hours for one game. Well, why would you need to do that? If there's clubs locally that are, if you bring the talent together, they can all play each other. Well, clubs don't want to play each other because then they're going to lose revenue, because let's say you beat one of their teams. They're going to say, well, wait, all the parents are going to be like, well, I need to go to this club now because they just smacked me 9-0. It happens all the time. It's a joke. If you have it, colleges will seek you out. Definitely true. I heard MLS Next is going away in 2 years. I'm from the East Coast. The club MLS Next teams get killed by Philly Union, but DC United Academy can't beat Philadelphia. MLS Next is already changing, right? It's now basically just for the MLS academies. And now they have I think it's called the National Academy League for all the basically non-MLS academies. So, yeah, it's going to change again. It's going to be just driven in a different way. How often do you tell parents this club just isn't for you? How often? We do have those conversations. We had to reject a kid today. Actually, a kid came and said, hey, we want to be a part of this team. Heard they're very good. And I said, well, you don't have the level. Or if you don't want to be focused on development, then don't come to me. Like, don't come to my organization if you don't want your kid to get better. And that's the only thing we promise people. But is DC played a so-called MLS Next team? They killed them. It is watered down. It's definitely watered down. That's why there's so many teams in it, and now they're separating it. Parents feel like they have a voice because they're a paying customer. Which, okay, I understand you do have a voice. You can provide feedback, but don't be toxic. My son will play as a walk-on this year for a D2 school. If he's successful first year, how likely will he receive athletic aid, and should he continue to pursue D1? Dude, again, really open-ended question. I will tell you the truth based on what I know. If your child is walking on, and again, unless they're unbelievably good, probably not going to play. I played at a school that was D2, and we had 36 players every single year, and there was maybe 22 that played, and the rest of them didn't, but they were part of the team, and they were at every single practice. And if they didn't come to practice, they got cut, but they never played. So it just depends. To be honest with you, it's very hard. God. Hold on, I lost a bunch of stuff. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Here it is. Sorry, I don't know why this whole thing just did. Thoughts on referees in this country, referees, I mean, they're doing a job, right? They make actually a good amount of money, but it's hard. I mean, they do it for the money for the most part. I don't blame them. I used to ref, but I don't think there's enough education for refereeing because everything's a foul, in my opinion, and half the time it's not a foul, so it's just like, what are you calling? But anyways, how do you facilitate a smooth transition from players moving from the club over to a higher level such as how do you facilitate that? Okay, they don't play their age, they play up, and they play adults. That's the only way to do it. Because again, when I went to college, I'm like, whoa, this is way different than youth. Like, the coach is cursing at me the entire time. He's telling me he doesn't give an F about me or about the other players in the field. And if I don't play, I can't complain to my mom and my dad. I have to go talk to the coach and understand why he didn't pick me. Like, okay, when I was in college, my first game, or maybe my second, I think it was my first or second, the coach came up to me, he's like, bro, you're uncoachable, you're not playing anymore until you fix this. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not playing? No, you're not playing. Why? Why would I not play? Because you're not listening to what I'm telling you to do. You don't want to listen, you're not playing. And I'm like, okay, well, so I had to fix that shit or otherwise I wasn't going to play. So how do you provide a smooth transition? They need to play adults before they go, and that way they have an idea of what it actually looks like. That's the best way to explain it. Are you going to be at the Challenger Tournament in Apopka this weekend? No, I will not. We will have some of our other teams there, but this is actually my rest week. I've just been doing privates and stuff. It's actually funny. People ask me, why don't you post the stuff you were doing as much? I don't want to be posting like a lot of the sessions that I do anymore. Like, I don't want people thinking my target is, hey, I'm trying to get you to come train with me. Nah. So I will post some, but I don't post a lot of the work that I do. Like, I had a bunch of sessions today, and I'm like, I'm just not going to post. Like, I don't need to post anything about it. Why does my son's coach play him on defense when he's the smallest? I don't know. Maybe he thinks he's a good defender, but I can't tell you why he does that. I mean, I don't know your coach. A parent is successful if their kid is still playing and not been sickened by the ups and downs. Soccer is life full of challenges. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, kids need to be able to handle challenges and adversity. 100%. If they can't, they'll never make it anywhere in life to begin with, whether it's sport or not. That's the problem as a coach myself. Too many players just want to attack and refuse to defend. Yeah, I mean, you look at all the best players in the world, they're all attackers. So everybody's like, oh, I want to be this player. And they see, for example, Ronaldo not playing defense. Okay, so if Ronaldo doesn't play defense, are you Ronaldo? Have you won 5 Ballon d'Ors? No. Okay, have you scored like 800 goals? No. Have you played for Real Madrid, Manchester United, Juventus, Manchester United, and been paid $200 million a year? So, okay. Kyle, explain the ranking system for youth soccer and its importance or unimportance. So I'm assuming you mean the GOT Soccer rankings. GOT Soccer rankings are a complete joke. I want you to ask a college coach how many times have they used GOT Soccer rankings to determine if they're going to recruit a player. I don't know any. There maybe's one, but I can't imagine that they're that silly to use a GOT Soccer ranking to determine if they want a kid. That would just be stupid. Stupid. Let's see. What else? Do you view keepers differently than field players when it comes to training? I know they are a different breed from a mental standpoint. I mean, I'm not really sure what that means when you say, do I view keepers differently? I mean, they're part of the team, right? But their role's slightly different because they can use their hands. Oh, my God. Ay. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. Sorry. I hope you heard what I said. Let me go back and make sure I don't miss something. So I'll say that again. The ranking system for youth soccer and its importance or unimportance. Go ask a college coach if they've ever recruited somebody because of their ranking. I highly doubt anybody has, at least the people I know that haven't. If there is somebody, I'd be shocked because that would be stupid. So GOT Sport ranking means literally nothing except to make parents feel better because their kid's on a good team with a high ranking. All right, let's see what else. Oops. Thoughts on club-wide consistent curriculum taught to lower and upper academies? I mean, it's great if they have a curriculum, and I hope they follow it. But most people don't have a good curriculum, to be honest. They just do what they need to do to win games. Was just told last night nobody's looking for defenders. What does that mean? You mean that they don't want a defender? GOT Soccer is a joke. It's all about points from tournaments and done. Club know how to work the system to rack up points. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. GOT Soccer is a joke. Where in Florida are you at? I'm in Orlando, Florida. I live in Orlando. Volume has been better for a while. Cool. All right. So, that's the deal, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, that's it. I mean, there's not much. Some coaches encourage high school soccer. What's your take on it? Oh, God, I'm going to say it again. No, high school soccer sucks. I coached high school, by the way. I coached girls for like 4 years, and I was the varsity coach. And every single year, we maybe had 3 girls that played competitive soccer. So the level's just so inconsistent. Would you recommend making an Instagram account for youth players? I mean, it's up to you. It's not a bad thing. It's good to have because that can bring exposure. Again, exposure doesn't mean you're going to be exposed. But it can be the buzzword for exposure. So it's not a bad thing to have. But don't get hyped up with posting those silly 2-cone training drills and stuff. Like post game footage, post stuff like that. Don't be posting stuff that wastes everybody's time. Like it's just stupid. All right, my son's playing USL 2 this summer. Is that the path you'd recommend leading up to the college season? And should he continue focusing on it? I mean, yeah, you need to be in the gym. You need to be working out. Playing USL 2 is decent. So, yeah, fine. How do you feel about the post-trial practice by teams to offer players a spot in the pool, not telling whether it's the first or second team? How do I feel about post-trial practice by teams to offer players a spot in a pool, not telling them whether it's first or second team? Can you expand on that? I don't really quite understand. Maybe you can help me out a little bit more. What's your opinion about OC Academy? So I think OC Academy is great. I'm not in the day-to-day. I don't know what they do. But on paper, it should be the best thing because it's completely free. But there is a con to that, which not a lot of people understand, but I'll explain it to you in a second. But on paper, it should be the best thing because if you go to OC Academy and you're in the U17s, as an example, you're probably getting a college offer at a minimum. You may get a professional contract. You may, if you're very, very good, like Fabian Loyola got one. So, because he's very, very good. People don't get that. So, but here's the downside potentially to an MLS Academy. This is something that changed recently, and this is why the MLS Academies are free. Okay, and that simply is, how do I explain this very quickly? There's a thing called compensation for formation and solidarity payments. So MLS Academies went free because that gave the academies the right to earn compensation for formation. So that means if they sponsor players or there's essentially very little cost to players, they can get compensation for developing them later if they're sold to other clubs outside of the country. So if they go to Europe and go to Spain and play for Real Madrid, then they're going to get money for his development, which a pay-to-play club cannot get. In fact, any club outside of MLS cannot get that. So here's where it does become a little sticky for you. Sorry, I'm just trying to reposition myself. If you want to go to Europe, you have to be very careful because using any MLS Academy, if you sign for an MLS Academy and you're there for a year, they now have a right to receive compensation on you or your son or your son. So there's all these FIFA rules. I can't break down the numbers. There's way too much stuff. I'd have to do the research again and break down what they actually are. But basically, let's just call it a simple math. Let's just say, we'll use a simple number, $50,000 a year. That's probably a little high, but they would have, Orlando City would have, using Orlando City, they would have the right to $50,000 a year every single year that you're in the academy. And let's say Barcelona comes for you, for your son, and they want to buy him, or they want to take him, I should say. So let's say you're at, because I live in Orlando City Academy, you're there, and you're there for 2 years. That means if you're at Orlando City Academy for 2 years and you leave for whatever reason, and Barcelona comes for you, then they have the right to get the compensation for them. So Barcelona would need to pay for your son now. If you weren't in an MLS Academy and then Barcelona came for you, then there's no fee because you're in the pay-to-play model. Just be aware of that. Very important because most people don't know that. So it happens. It's very true now. How come there is no soccer clubs in the U.S. like the rest of the world? Well, I just explained to you. It's compensation for formation, so only the MLS Academies have it. That's why. And really, there's there's no incentive for a pay-to-play club to develop players because you're paying me for a service. I don't get anything out of it if you don't make it. I've already earned your money. So I don't get benefit if your son leaves my program to go somewhere else. My program, we pride ourselves in making players better because I believe it's the right thing to do. But for a cash cow, they don't care. They just want your money. So, just be careful with that stuff, man. Who's my favorite player at the moment? God. Who's my favorite player at the moment? I'm not a Man City fan, but the first player that comes to mind would be Kevin De Bruyne. I also love Bernardo Silva. I love Gundogan. I just love the way those guys play. They're unbelievable. So, yeah, that's probably De Bruyne. I think he's an unbelievable player. Beast. Any tips for a young player to make an MLS Academy team? Yeah, I do. Be the best player. You want to go to an MLS Academy, you need to be a 0.01% player. That's how you're going to get picked. If you're not a 0.01% player, then you're not going there. Unless you have some sort of favor or network that helps you get there, they're not going to take you. There's no reason. Because you need to understand, if you want to go into an MLS Academy that is free, you need to be really, really good, the 0.01%. And if you're not in the 0.01%, how are you going to get there? Why would they take you? It's free. And understand that with an MLS Academy, the goal should be to get kids to the first team, to sign professional contracts as homegrown players and get them into the first team. But they don't need your son. Why would they need your son? And I'll tell you guys the truth, man. Ever since I started making all these posts and stuff, I've probably received 2,000 to 3,000, if not more, DMs. And a lot of people say the same stuff. My child's really good. My child's really good. And I'm like, I bet you your kid's not as good as you think he is. And I'm like, I don't mean that in a negative way, but everybody thinks their kid's good. Everybody thinks it. So if everybody thinks their kid's good, how likely is it that they're actually as good as they think? I've probably gotten 500 people to tell me, hey, my kid's really, really good. Can you look at this and tell me what you think? I'm like, I can, but he's probably not as good as you think because there's not many kids that are 0.01% kids. So, and you have to perform when it comes to it. I had a guy tell me once, oh, my kid's really, really good, but he doesn't perform in the game. Well, then he's not really, really good. If he can't perform, he's not really, really good. He might have really good skills, but that sounds like a freestyler versus a player, because a player is somebody that can perform under pressure. A freestyler doesn't have to perform under pressure. They got to be just damn good with the ball. That's it. So, at the end of the day, I think everybody thinks their kid's really good, and I hope I'm not a parent, so I don't know what that's like, but I hope I don't get those tinted glasses where I think my kid's the best, because I'll save this video, man. One day I'm gonna have a kid, and you guys are gonna be like, Kyle, I told you so. But yeah, I can't imagine. In fact, I'd be like, hey, my kid's not as good as I thought, because again, if your child is a 0.01%, the cash cows will come to you and say, we want your kid, and it's free. We want your kid, he's free. If it's not that, then he's not as good as you thought. It's really that simple. And I've seen that happen with 15 kids. In Orlando, they're that good that people are coming up to you saying, we want your kid. You don't need to pay anything. Training is free. Tournaments are free. Uniforms free. Events are free. Just come play for us. If your kid's that good, the cash cows will do that. Again, using Issa, I don't know if he's still in the chat. He's had a couple of clubs come up to him, the kid that you've seen me post. He's had a couple of clubs come up to him and offer him, hey, everything's free. Why? Because for his age, he's very good. Does he need to improve? Yeah. But the cash cows will come and say, we want your kid. Or they're saying we want him because he's very good, he's going to help our team. And I've said this before, just because they will pay for your son or daughter doesn't mean that you're going to get the best training. So, like, people don't get that. Like, yeah, you can be free, but that doesn't mean the training's good. So, like, people don't seem to understand. Hey, Issa, my dog. So he's still here. So, yeah, I mean, again, using Issa, I've had him for 4 years, and clubs now are calling his dad to say, hey, come to us free. You don't need to pay anything. In Orlando. Or I should say Central Florida, to use the correct term. So they're like, hey, free uniform, free games, free training, be a part of the team. But that doesn't mean that he's going to get good stuff. Right? It doesn't mean the training is going to be good. It just means that they're covering his cost. That's a double-edged sword because it can be good training, but it doesn't mean it's good training. So you need to understand that part. Along with the lines of our kids are not as good as we think, would you change your playbook if your kid may not be a D1 caliber but still wants to pursue college? Yeah, Aubrey, good question. So my playbook is going to be designed for people that are not a 0.01%. So it's literally for people that kid is maybe good, maybe not good, but I'm giving you the roadmap that I would do if I had a kid right now. So let's say I had a child right now, he's 1 year old. I'm giving you what I would do all the way through. And the idea would be you try and develop them to be a 0.01%. They may not get there because there's a lot of factors that go into that. Genetics, their work ethic, their ability, do they perform in the games? I mean, there's so many pieces that go into that. But that's what I'm trying to do. So understand. Good question. And I think I missed a question. Nope, I didn't. Okay. I played soccer in my formative year outside of the U.S. I totally agree with you in your beliefs. I coached my daughter by exposing her to the basics, which is not taught by most clubs. Yeah, okay, so that's a good point about the basics, right? So, I made a joke about this. Not a joke, but a post. Like, everybody's on clout about Instagram. Oh, I want to have a good reels on Instagram, and I want to have this kind of stuff. I want my kid to look good on Instagram. Like, you can look good on Instagram, but like, it's okay. But like, these training clips of doing all these ball mastery stuff and whatever, like through the cones and stuff, like it looks cool, but you're not getting recruited because you can weave through cones and stuff, guys. Like, that's not going to happen. No coach is going to be like, hey, let me recruit this kid because he has good footwork or he looks good on Instagram. Like, you may get some, like, especially from like game clips, or like maybe you're doing something from a training perspective that's game related and you might get attention. Like, I'll give you an example. There is one kid that I had, he got an MLS Academy. I have some guys that follow my account that are MLS Academy coaches. So this is your free programs. And I posted a kid on my page once, and one of them reached out to me and said, who is this kid? And it was me doing a game-based training exercise. It wasn't like some ball mastery through cones. It was game-like, game speed. And the guy was like, who's this kid? Like, he's pretty good. Like, what's the deal? So he called me, and we had a conversation about this one kid because I posted a training video that was game related. If you're posting training that's not game related, you're not gonna get looks for that. Like, people aren't going to recruit you because you're weaving through cones, or you're doing these crazy step over flicks through these two cones and you're going step here, step there, like you're dancing with a ball or whatever. Freestyle. They're not recruiting you for that. Okay. What advice would you give me? I'm at a professional soccer trial. What advice would I give you? Be confident. I don't know what position you play, but be confident. Give everything you got. Leave nothing to be granted. Like, do the best that you can. And go for it. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, that's it. Joao, you asked me, so send me a DM. I'll find you the clip of the video. I'll find the video that the guy reached out to me on. And I'll send it to you so you can see it. So you can have an idea of what it looked like. The exact clip that I posted on Instagram, it's in my feed. And one guy reached out to me about it. That is an MLS Academy coach. And was like, who is this kid? What's the deal? What is he? Where does he play? Blah, 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 blah. What's his story? All because of one clip that was game-based training. So, and when I say game-based training, what we were doing was a technical activity. If I remember correctly, it was based on opening with your hips, scanning, and hitting a target. That's what it was. So, yeah, I mean, that's what it is. So what advice do you give to players who have new coach and put them in a new position? Well, kids should be playing every position because, again, here's a story for you. When I played college, I played every position on the field but goalkeeper. So I played right back, right center back, left back, defensive mid, number 8, number 10, left wing, right wing, number 9. I played every position on the field. So you need to have the mental intelligence to be able to do that. Very, very important. So, yeah, lads. So, any other questions, man, that I can answer for anybody? Because I need to get off. I need to get back to work. You guys are asking for the playbook. So, if you want me to finish the playbook faster, start posting on my reels and stuff that I make. Hashtag playbook. Or don't even put hashtag. Just put playbook. Type playbook like this. Like on one of my reels or all of them if you want, put playbook. That will motivate me to want to do it faster because I know that you guys are paying attention. So if you want that, write on my reels, playbook. You just write playbook. Don't need to put a hashtag, just playbook. So if you want it. If you don't want it, then don't. But go ahead. So the more you guys do that, the more it's going to motivate me to get it done because, again, it's a lot of work. Like, I can't lie. It's a lot of work. Like, dude, like, I'm trying to make it as precise and detailed as possible so that way you guys have essentially, like, my brain of what I would do. How would I maneuver this minefield of a disaster, the cash cow? That's what I'm doing. So what is the playbook? The playbook is a book that I'm putting together for families, players, parents that are not 0.01%, that want to learn what I would do to develop my kid to go through the entire system here. That's what it is. And I'm going to educate you on everything possible, hopefully, of maneuvering this minefield of a cash cow called youth soccer. So that's what it is. So hopefully that makes sense. And why are coaches in Europe so advanced? Seems like it's more rondo and less intentional based sessions. Well, they're more advanced because they have better players. Like, I think this is so misunderstood. Like, you can't be doing high-level tactical work if you don't have really skilled players. It is literally impossible. Impossible. Well, I think rondos are an intentional-based session, right? I mean, rondos are an important piece, but there's so many different types of rondos. You're probably talking about, rondos, there's so many ways to do that. Like, rondos do a really good thing for that. But there's so many different types of rondos. Let's see. What do you think about coaches that lose focus and motivation? Will you still keep your child on that team? Sonia, that is a very open-ended question because I don't know the context of what you're referring to. If you're talking about me, personally, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what that means. So, give me some more information and I can answer that question for you because I'm assuming that's directly related to me, but I'm not entirely sure. So let me know what you mean or if it's, what is the scenario that you're trying to get answered? Because what do you think about coaches that lose focus and motivation? Will you still keep your child on that team? But in terms of what context, like what are we talking about? At what age is it too late to make them a 0.01% player? Well, okay. When is it too late? Too late is that they're no longer able to be a pro, probably would be the best way to explain that. I mean, how else can you explain it? Because the whole point of being a 0.01% means that you have a chance in the future to do something, be a pro. So, it really matters at 15 years old and older. So before you kind of phase out of that, you need to hit it. I mean, there are some situations of, a Jamie Vardy going through and becoming a professional, but it's not all of them. So, it's a very rare thing that happens, but there are some situations where players go through, aka Jamie Vardy, that's 26 before he becomes a full-time pro, making millions of dollars. So, and there are many kids that are not 1% players. But the point of being a 0.01% player means that you have a high chance of making it because you're that good. So, what age can you correct bad mechanics and technical mistakes? I mean, that's, again, an open-ended question. So, it depends on what you're trying to correct, to be honest with you. So, anyways, guys, I got to get back to work. If you want me to, again, finish the playbook faster, like if, maybe I can finish it in 2 days, you need to go on my reels and post playbook, the word playbook, and I will get it done faster because that shows me that you guys are motivated to have the content. And like I said, I'm going to as many people as possible and give you my brain of what I would do if my kid was going through the system. If you want it, go onto my reels. You can go on every single one you want. You can do every single one that I posted. Playbook. And that's going to tell me that you guys are serious about getting it. So, cool. Do it if you want. Awesome. If not, no problem. I will see you guys later. Like I said, you have access to stuff. And have a good day, guys. See ya.